Ice in my veins, I've been driving this train. Years in this lane, there's no stopping this flame. Cause I came to the game and I changed it to play how I like, rearranged it to my own domain. Yeah, I got what it takes, made lots of mistakes, taking shots, skipping breaks, feeling lost, feeling great, popping off, singing straight, never stopped, never changed. All the squad here to play, and I've got something to say, yeah. I work hard each and every day, I get lost in the words I say. I don't push pause, no, I push play. I won't stop till I make a change. I withdraw on the things I make. I turn flaws into flawless traits. I build tall, never capped in space. I won't stop till I hear him say,
Welcome in, guys. Welcome back for the umpteenth week. 5011, as my girl Roro likes to say, the podcaster. We're back for Ready to Love Season 8, Episode 8, and it's called Ride or Die, guys. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing
I'm
well.
good.
How about you?
Awesome. JR, you okay there?
Yeah, I'm all good, thanks. All good.
Awesome. How's everybody out there in the chat? Let's see who's here tonight. We got Team Bill with Gio. That's my girl. If you want to grow and go on YouTube, better check her out. Team Bill with Gio. And my other girl, Be Amazing Sylvia. Loving Tracy Anderson. Just Andrea. Of course, there is Auntie Roro right there, the very own, our channel's very own Roro for real. She says, greetings from the Sunshine State, and don't forget to thumbs up the video. Yes. Kimberly is in the chat. Reza, how's Reza doing? Oh my, how you doing, Reza? Motown investor. Oh, our lovely member, Ravine S., one of our original OGs. Okay, don't get mad at me, Ravine, for calling you an OG. You know I mean that in the youngest sense of the word. Darica. All right. Our favorite friend of the channel, Kirby. And I think this is from your channel. I believe, JR. There's Colton, James Hodge. So we'll go ahead and get started. Guys, what did you think of this week's episode? What did you think of it?
All right, I'll go. I was quite surprised on a few things that took place on this episode. Not only with the vetting of some of the friends, but definitely the outcome of who the elimination, who got eliminated. So yeah, interesting episode, and can't wait to dive in deeper.
Exactly. What about you, Kimberly? What were your thoughts? Some of your thoughts, just as we open up.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I always enjoy when we go and meet the exes or friends. I think that's very good to do in relationships. So I was excited about the episode, and I think it went pretty good. The friends didn't give too much, but I think it went good overall.
Oh, great. Yeah. I think so too. I guess the thing I didn't get a chance to talk with you guys back in the green room before we came on, but I guess one of the things that surprised me, I thought it was a great episode, but I was a little bit taken back that when we talked about Marie being in the bottom before, that it didn't come to fruition, that I thought we would at least seen him in the bottom this episode, but once again, the politician. Hey there, Ryan. Welcome back.
I call him the Baptist pastor.
Okay, well, you know what? That's, I think, while you were going on your various jaunts around the world, I've nicknamed him the politician. But yes, that too. The Baptist pastor. Yep, absolutely. Hey, Ryan, came through. What's going on, Ryan? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good over here.
Okay, good to see you. Yes. So we'll go ahead and get started. We know that it was the ladies' week this week, and the ladies were in the lounge, and Tommy called them, uncle, nephew, cousin Tommy called the ladies the Elite Six. You have Aries, you have Janelle, Katarina, Jessica, Sierra with an S, and Lee. Uncle Tommy notes that Lee had that leg out, boy. She was wearing that dress. I'm telling you, she was wearing that thing. Woof.
Yeah.
My goodness. You think so too, Calvin?
She had it going on. I'll say that. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Don't say it. Say it a little quieter. Don't let the wife overhear you now. Don't let the wife overhear you. we don't want to get in no trouble with her. All right.
She stood out. She stood out. Yeah.
Okay, one of her friends see this podcast and call her up. Don't forget, we are live. But anyway, yeah, just joking with my friend Calvin. So the ladies. Oh, go ahead. Well, see, that's what I was talking about in the green room, Calvin, about that delay. Go ahead.
Yeah. Beauty is important, but so is substance more than beauty, And it seems like we're getting more into not just how they look, but their thought processes and their mindset.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the mindset of their friends. Will we say maybe the mindset? What do you guys say, Kimberly?
That's
We're
right.
also getting into the mindset of their friends this episode, Kimberly.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think so. They all look beautiful though now. I can't take that away. They dress nice.
Yes.
The ladies, the makeup looks good, hair. But yeah, I think we are getting more because we do have more older cast members, I believe. So I think that's why we're probably getting more mentally stimulated.
Absolutely. So Tommy knows, while we're in the ladies' lounge, Tommy knows that that the women this week will have to introduce the men to their BFFs. And Lee says that's a major plus because her friends like meeting her men and she likes for them to meet them. We move off the ladies' lounge. We move into the actual date. Katrina's friend, Ali, the firecracker, begins to grill her two guys, which are Phil and Herbert. Ryan, what did you think of this date with Phil, Herbert, and what did you think of it?
I don't know. It was tough because I haven't seen her a lot with these two guys, so it's just kind of like at this stage, it seems like you should be further on. You know, if you need the best friend, it seems like it should be further on in the dating process. It just seems like everybody was still kind of getting to know each other a little more.
Yeah, it did kind of seem that way a little bit, didn't it?
Yeah, it threw me off a little bit. It seemed like they were just trying to force some couples in together to kind of get the process going, but they should have. I don't know if the budget was. They should have set them on some more dates together, even if they didn't show them on the screen. You know what I mean? Just some test pilot dates just to get them, some more rapport, see what was going on.
Right. I don't know. I don't know, like, with this situation. You guys feel free to weigh in. Also, JR, Calvin, Kimberly, if you guys want to weigh in as we're talking about Katarina and her friend. So, I mean, that was very interesting with Herbert. What do you think caused Herbert to respond and react to her friend the way he did as a man? What did you see going on in that scene, JR?
I feel like he was matching energy.
Okay. That's
the
fair.
The friend came across as someone who was gonna probably ask some very niggling questions, and the Herbert seems to vibe and gel with everybody, and I think he matches energy. So if you're more aligned with how he is as a person, then you'll get more out of him, personality wise, of course. But I think, the friend came kind of with a provocative energy, and he decided to mirror that, and that's not going to bode well in the process that they're in. But then again, you know, Kat didn't seem to intervene at all. She was quite cool with the level of questioning and stuff, and obviously she commented that she was quite surprised by his reactions, his answers, but ultimately he was just matching what was being presented to him, I felt.
Well, I have a question for you specifically, JR. How would you have handled that same situation if you were in that situation where your girl or possible could be girlfriend that you're getting to know, her friend is giving you a hard time, and this energy, how would you describe the girlfriend's energy specifically?
Well, I think, as I said, it was kind of more of a provocative energy.
Okay.
I think I would have, if I felt, it depends how uncomfortable I felt. I think, you know, I could match the energy that she gave, but I probably would have ended the date quite early, you know, at the earliest opportunity, because I would sense that me and this friend aren't going to mesh. We're not going to probably get on very well. So
right.
I would have probably made a quick excuse and left, rather than sat there and go toe to toe with her, you know. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, for a first meeting, and you're trying to get to know the young lady that you're pursuing, being that's Katarina. I would think that anyone, like, even flip it around to a woman, if it were a woman coming to meet, you know, a guy's best friend or close friend, I would think that you wouldn't want to engage in a negative way. But I don't know. I could be. What about you, Kimberly? What are your thoughts?
I thought the friend was acting a little immature, but I think either way, I don't know why Herbert responded the way he did. I wish that he would have been kind of a little more mature and maybe took more control of the situation, but it just seemed maybe he's not interested, so he really didn't care how the date went overall. I really don't feel like he's ready for the commitment and all that Katarina would desire, so maybe he's just not taking it that serious, and that's why he kind of played back and forth with the friend. But nothing much came out of it. That's all I saw. But like Herbert was trying to say, you know, tell me more about your friend, give me more information. And she was just like, no, let's talk about you. So I don't know. Maybe this did it, and Katarina may not be interested anymore.
Yeah, that could be. Ryan, what did you get out of that? Is that something you've experienced as a Ready to Love alum, where you meet with the friends and they're not being cordial?
Yeah, I mean, it's different if it's guy to guy, because you can handle that differently as a man. If it's a female, you can't really do anything. You kind of got to just appease the friend as much as possible. Because one is a female, and two, I mean, she is going to have maybe a stronger influence on her friend than what a man is going to have on a man. You know, my friend tells me not to date a girl, and I find her attractive. I'm going to look at him like, whatever, you know. So you got that. But I think with Herbert, you have to match realness with him. It feels like, and don't come at me hard when you know we ain't really been rocking like that. You know what I mean? Like, we ain't been like, if you like my third choice or my second choice on the talent poll, and we ain't really been rocking like that, we ain't on the phone all the time, we ain't talking about the future and stuff, but then your friend comes at me kamikaze, now we got a problem.
Wow, I say not the kamikaze part.
But then your friend.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But then your friend has history with you that Herbert does not. Your friend knows you from how you've been in other relationships, how you surprise the negative and the positive aspects of your dating history. And so when your friend's looking at Herbert as a prospect, she's looking at Herbert from the perspective of the person of your previous relationship. So she's not biased against you, but she's looking at, do you fit the way the guy that she typically likes, you know? So Herbert himself, he's not really into commitment. Even though he says he's ready to love, is he really ready to love? Does he really understand what a long term relationship would require of him? He's not ready to commit. And maybe the friend in the process for asking questions picks up on that, because he's more into himself without even realizing it, so he's not ready to commit to somebody long term, but maybe on the short term, maybe not for marriage, maybe just for immediate needs, but he doesn't seem
maybe
maybe
not
ready
for
to commit.
Hey, Calvin, as they say, maybe not for a long time, but maybe just for a good time.
Yes.
Huh?
But who really went hard for Herbert though? You know what I mean? It ain't the same thing as the way Janelle going hard for Quentin, or you know what I mean, or the one of the girls going hard for Chris. Everybody's just kind of been like, or even Aries for Phil. Like everybody kind of gets been lukewarm with Herbert anyway. So it's like, yeah, how you expected him to take the leadership in Rims where nobody's really giving him the "you're my everything,"
But you know what? Did he bring it on himself, Ron? Because listen to it. I went back 2-3 episodes and I still see Herbert. Hold up. I still see Herbert, 2-3 episodes and all the way up to this episode talking about, well, yeah, I got 3 women that are in my top. Each woman he tells, well, you're up there, but you're not number one. Like, was he trying to get them to work harder? It's kind of like, I'm not really sure what his logic or his strategy was, but who was actually his number one, I guess is my question.
Well, he didn't get it. I think he was trying to play it along to try to, get the connections, but he thought, okay,
he was his own number
even if I have some pretty good lukewarm direct connections, that'll keep me here long enough until the end, but it don't work that way when it gets to this stage and stuff. You got to have, they want to see the cameras want to see some romance, something, even if it's a tinsel that they can work with. But Herbert wasn't giving them anything to work with because I don't think he had a partner that was 100% willing, 100% attracted to him, 100% on that level to give him any kind of vibes to work with. So yeah, that whole get a couple connections is a lot easier than getting a real connection.
Okay, but hold up now. So I got a question for you. What do you think happened with the connection that was supposed to be there between he and Janelle? Because Janelle, at first, that was like her number one, and Quentin was actually her number two. So tell me, Ron, what do you think happened?
I just think she was more attracted to Quentin. I think that he was maybe definitely him being, you said very competitive, was putting in a lot more pressure, and she went with it. Herbert wasn't a big enough fight against Quentin for her to not go with it. Put it that way.
Okay.
So that kind of makes that situation out. He wasn't in here being, competitive to get to the end, maybe to win or something like that. Like I feel like Quentin is a very competitive person.
Yes.
But if at this, it gets to a point on this show sometimes where the men, and I know it's backwards and it's super backwards, but it's almost like, and we're not trying to be the prize or anything, but you want to know that you're chosen by one of the ladies. It feels good. It just does. You know what I mean? It's one of those type of things where if a woman's like, that's my number one, that's my man, he's fine, I want him, that's my guy and stuff. You know what I mean? We get loyalty off that. And if somebody was doing that to him, I think you would see a little more assertiveness, a little more loyalty, sort of like how, Aries kind of chose Phil. You know what I mean? It feels different.
Oh, okay.
And I just don't think
that makes sense. That makes sense, doesn't it, Kimberly? That if we as women choose a man, that he's going to have and feel more loyalty and closer connected to us, right?
Yes, that's so true. And that goes back to the men always saying they want to feel appreciated and they want us to, kind of praise them and compliment them. So I could see how that would be very important.
Okay. I'm sorry. You were going to say something, Calvin. Go ahead.
Well, what's important, a recurring theme, Herbert seems to be more into himself than what he realized. And the women, even though this is the eighth week, that's a long time. You have pretty much a considerable amount of time to size people up based upon their consistency. So what you're seeing is that who is he committed to and what is he committed about? if he's not into when they ask questions about what about children, about long term, and he kind of says, "Well, I don't want to commit to nobody at this point in time." That's a recurring thing. He's more committed to his own vision and not really understanding that you're involved with somebody else, and you shouldn't be so focused on yourself because when you're in a relationship, the self is not. It's always about us. It's not just about yourself alone. Because you have to consider somebody else's needs.
Wow, that's a good point. That's a good point, guys. And then we move over. We see that Eris is has her best friends to a guy and a girl, which I thought was good. Mixing this time to have both genders, and she has Phil and she has Chris on this date. And surprise, surprise, Phil, who we thought, hey, best couple so far, strongest connection, right, was with Eris and Phil. But guys, can you explain to me what happened to Phil on this date? I mean, like when he gets to meet her friends and put his best foot forward, it seems like he kind of shrunk.
Yeah, when he was asked about what he likes about her, the first thing he talked about is, he loved her love of Bay Area music or something like that. So I think if that was an attempt at humor, didn't quite come off. But I would have expected more of a deeper or more insightful response from Phil in that moment. Very surprised I didn't get it, considering how close they seem to be in terms of kissing, hugging, being affectionate, and things like that, and also talking every day on the phone. So,
right.
I was quite surprised by that, quite disappointed, but the connection's still there. So maybe Aries, she saw the humor in it a bit, even though she probably would have expected more as well.
Well, that's true. That's true. Ryan, you gonna weigh in on this too? What do you think happened to Phil? Like I'm using Quentin's terminology, but like he said about his girl that shrunk, it seems like Phil kind of shrunk away when it came down to the wire. Anyone else want to weigh in on what they think may have happened with Phil? Calvin, you want to weigh in?
I'll weigh in real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, just knowing Phil, I know him. I mean, we went to school together. You guys got to understand that Aries might be. She's very attractive. She has that bubbly personality, but it's still very new to Phil. I'm knowing Phil. I don't think he's ever dated anybody even close to Aries. Just like when I was on the show, I never dated anything close to Alexis.
Alexis, okay.
Yeah, you want to try something new when you're on the show, and sometimes you try something new and it works and you're feeling something, but you don't know naturally, personality-wise, how to navigate through that because this is a very new relationship. Y'all, your ex-girlfriends have been totally opposite from this girl that's in front of you, but she is nice. She's compelling. She's putting in her best representative for it. She's looking good. So you're going with it and you're going through the emotions and everything with it during the process. And it's kind of what the process is supposed to be about, where you can try something new and do different things without getting penalized like you would in the real world if you was going to try to date somebody totally out of your element. So he's not going to be perfect when it comes to this Aries thing starting off. They're going to have to really start off from ground zero because I don't think he's ever dated anybody close to her.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That makes sense. I never thought of it that way, Ron. That's, you know what? Sometimes you have some really good stuff to say here. You know that?
Sometimes.
But no, seriously, that makes a lot of sense. I never thought about it that way because, like you pointed out, the show is an opportunity for each individual and those who choose to be courageous to go outside of their comfort zone and date somebody totally different from their normal quote unquote type. Never thought of it that way. Never thought of it that way. Anyone else want to feel like they want to weigh in? And then to the flip side of it, Chris. So we see this is the other thing. So we're going to compare in a minute because Chris is on another date with his girl Jessica. But we see Chris in this date. We see him really step up, and he's saying all the things about Aries, that she's soft, that she's got it going on, that she's a person of quality, and so forth and so on. I'm kind of paraphrasing. When asked about Jessica, he's going oh yeah, she's beautiful, she's attractive, she's very pretty. And her friends, Jessica's friends are like, well, wait a minute. Those aren't qualities why you marry a person because a woman is pretty. That's not the reason why you marry a woman. So what do you think on that side, on that note? What do you think, Calvin? What do you think, excuse me, what do you think happened with Chris on this date, that why he's so different with Aries as opposed to Jessica?
Well, it's a different vibration. The looks is one thing, but it's how the person can bring certain qualities out of you. You know, you may feel more comfortable with one person over the other because you have that vibration with them. You know, you have to communicate and relax. And somebody else, well, we're talking, and I'm trying to pull things out of you that may not be there at that moment. But somebody else, it just may vibrate out the gate. You know, because you feel the kinship towards one person over another. You sit down, you talk, you relax, you feel something good about them, but somebody else may be bland based upon your expectation or perception. You know, not everybody moves you the same way. I don't care if they can look the same. I mean, they both look beautiful, but there's something about one person that you perceive that moves you differently. You know, so it's subjective. It's not just the person itself, but it's how you feel about them and how they make you feel.
Okay.
Different settings.
Okay.
One setting he was kind of awkward, the other one he was comfortable.
Oh, okay. So the one gentleman, which would be Phil, you feel like he was less comfortable, whereas Chris felt like he was in his element and he was able to address all the questions that were thrown his way. Ron, we got a question for you out in the chat. Our Roro for real wants to know what makes Aries so different for Phil. Do you think?
Well, I think Aries, with 2 kids, strong, bubbly but strong Black woman. I mean, let's face it. I mean, we seen Phil's ex. We saw whoever saw the interview with Kenya saying that her white friend used to date Phil. We know what kind of college I told you that he went to. He's been a diverse dater, you know what I mean? On the thing, and maybe not somebody as unapologetically herself, her and who she is in real as Aries. So that could be a little different. And you're navigating through that as it comes at you. Not saying that he is not open to it, that he's not loving it, that he's not feeling a different type of emotion that's coming at him from this new woman and is exciting and is new and stuff like that. But you might not know 100% how to navigate through that right away.
Okay. Well, Ravine's calling BS on the whole thing. She's saying it's a cop-out. You have to be present in every moment. You're there to date these beautiful women. So step it up, guys. Step it up. When you sound like you have... Oh, go ahead.
I think it's easier than that. Like what Chris is looking for, he's getting that.
Beautiful on that.
Yeah, he's getting what he's looking for from Aries. Like the same thing he's asking Jessica to do, Aries naturally presents.
Yes, absolutely.
So, that's the difference. He's basically been asking Jessica if she can soften up a bit and become more like Aries. But they're 2 different people. And so naturally, when he's asked the question, what does he what wifely qualities does he see in Jessica? He did stumble. He fumbled hard because she's not the soft, nurturing person that he is looking for. So in terms of being a wife, if that's what he's outlined as what he's personally looking for, someone who's softer spoken to him, you know, all the other list of things that he had, Jessica's not it. So in the way that I took it, he was trying to say, yeah, she's not really wife material like that, you know. And there's no shame in that, because everybody on the cast has their own sets of what they're looking for, their own set of requirements. And for Chris, yeah, he might like the visual of Jessica, but the personality isn't there for what he's looking for.
Okay, good point.
Yeah, those are facts. They're not. They're.
That's a good point.
They're not a good connection at all, and I think we know that. And honestly, to the point where I think even outside of this whole show and stuff like that, they would almost be arch enemies with each other.
Yeah, I wouldn't see them dating ever except for this show, right?
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like you got two strong personalities that's going to eventually clash. They're eventually not going to 100% respect the person and where they're at or what they are. And you could tell like that's not going to go right, and they know it. I could tell that they kind of know it, but Jessica needs a connection, right? I don't.
Yeah, she does, right?
Yeah, she needs a connection, and their star, the other one lose her best friend, but so I guess, you know, they was trying to keep her on. But yeah, this was never, to me, a connection that could have went anywhere, and it was pretty obvious.
Well,
I like the fact, like we explained last episode.
Right.
I liked her with the big guy. You know what I mean? Earlier, because I think when she goes strong, he'll play a different role. And
okay, so I'm clear. Who are we referring to right now? We're talking
about Maureen. What's his name?
Marie. Oh, Marie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Even though, he kind of fumbled last episode, but I like the fact that he can adjust to a stronger personality. Dated an older woman. You know what I mean? Like, he knows how to move that way. Chris ain't gonna be able to move that way.
He's a politician. Like I told you guys last week, he is the politician this season. Every season, Ready to Love has a politician. And this season, I deem Marie the politician of the season, okay, of Dallas. He's the politician. He's going to say the right thing. You see how he came back? He brought gifts. He explained himself about the tarot and this and that, and he was very adept. His language was very particular. Right? Like, this is not, I'm not saying that I'm sorry for who I am, but I'm saying that if, you were offended, but yada, 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 he's a politician.
But I think he can stick around somebody like Jessica enough where he can grow on her. A guy like him got to be around.
Like a fungus, grow on her like a oh, I'm sorry, never mind.
No, you got to no, don't do that. You got to be able to raise, sometimes as men, we got to be able to raise attraction. It ain't always there right away. Sometimes we got to move it up the ladder. You know what I mean? We got to be able to raise attraction, and it could be a couple of good dates, some funny joke, whatever it is. We all as men has been there where a woman that wasn't giving us that much time and affection and stuff like that had that one aha moment and everything changed, and then we're moving up the ladder. But you got to be able to do that, and I think to do that he's going to need time, and I think Jessica would be the only one that would give him enough time to move up the ladder. So you call it politician, but I just call it, I think he's thinking it's a game.
Okay. I mean, that's what I call
but
it.
But at this stage, it's 8 weeks into the series.
Right.
I don't know how much longer the series is going to be on, but this is 8 weeks, so it seems like there should be some awareness of who's you really are attracted to. I mean, they're all beautiful. They're all beautiful people, period, across the board. So, what are you really looking for? Are you looking for beauty? Are you looking for substance? And this stage is about a commitment to
there's a lie
that you want to be committed to instead of just a transit.
Yeah, I think what it sounds like Calvin's saying, yeah, that there's a thing about substance and beauty,
Mhm.
and for each man and each woman, what is your priority? Is it the muscles? Is it the
Yes.
good looks? Is it the
Mhm.
wavy hair?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I feel you on that. So we move forward, and we see that Janelle has Quinn and Herbert meeting her girlfriend, Quentin meeting her girlfriend Quinn. Q looks competitive
Mhm.
all of a sudden when Herbert hands Janelle a gift. Q says that although Janelle can be a lot for other people, she's not too much for him. What did you make of that, Kimberly?
Oh, I thought it was beautiful. I was like, okay, Herbert stepping up, with the gifts. And I guess just trying to secure his spot because, like we said earlier, he really isn't doing well with the other ladies. And I just feel that Herbert wasn't really putting in energy. He just seemed to be going with the flow, not really
Hmm.
working hard to secure his spot at all. So it was kind of nice to see him, give Janelle a present. I think he said it was something like self-care. So that was a plus for me, even though I'm still not a fan of Herbert because he just seems to be going too slow. I don't think that he wants marriage. Herbert to me seems like the guy that would wait till he's like 70 and on the way out of here, and then he would want to settle. And I think he would
I
just
want
go back
somebody
down
to
to
change my adult diapers. He giving you that kind of
and
vibe.
that's what Herbert gives. That, in my opinion, that's just what I see. He'll wait until he's on the way out of here, and then he'll go back down the list of ladies he's dated. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. And then he even referred to her as a thug. I'm like, what happened there? So maybe he likes this energy. Maybe he
Oh,
likes
talking
that
about
side of her.
Janelle. Yeah, he did. Well, he did. Well, I mean, well, hey, those of us that are on Instagram saw that she drove up. What,
Yes.
come on
Mhm.
now.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. Maybe he likes that side of her, the little back and forth with Katarina and Janelle. So I don't
Yeah.
know. We'll just see what happens. I was proud of Quentin. He's kind of stayed true to himself. He's given good answers. It's more than just, the negative side or laid back. It seems that he's still responding to texts and really trying to put forth the effort. I am nervous about the age difference because that is huge. And Janelle is so much more experienced in life than Quentin. So I'm not sure how that is going to work out. But he's saying the right thing as far as looking forward to marriage and children and even marriage within her 1 year timeline. So that's important to her. But we'll see what happens.
Right. Good summary. Anyone else
Mm.
want to weigh in? JR, sounds like you got something to
Mhm.
say.
Yeah. Well, you know, l- let's be real. Like, I'll do a quick poll on the remaining cast members. Who do you think you can see married with children? Like, which matches can you see at this present time
Ooh,
where
it's
you can
looking
see a family, marriage, children?
wow. Mm,
The silence speaks volumes, right?
That's a good
Because there
question.
is none,
Mhm.
right.
right? So,
Mhm.
Herbert is taking his time, but that's actually the better approach, right? Because in terms of
Mhm.
Janelle, as you said, as you mentioned, like she has been on Instagram Live and she came across a lot different to how she presenting on the TV, like how on the show.
Mm,
So
exactly.
when the cameras aren't rolling, she may be that whole fuck that he's talking about because he's referenced that a couple of times, and he actually finds that an endearing quality for some reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the timeline is where
Mhm.
is the major thing. And then secondly, his lack of texting her back or messaging back, touching base with her, keeping the connection strong. So he's not watering that connection enough. And that's why I think Quentin's elevated in her estimation because he seems to be more consistent with the communication and he's quite willing
Mhm.
to at least say, even if it may not be genuine, but he's definitely saying he's ready for marriage as soon as it happened, as soon as it's ready to happen.
Mhm.
He's ready to have a child, he's ready to get with her. Now, yeah, the age gap is there, and it will always be there.
Yes.
And you know, that's something that they both have to bear in mind if they do move forward into a relationship, because that power dynamic with Janelle's personality that we've seen on the Instagram live, you know, I would be cautious too. I'll be a lot more cautious, to be honest. So I think Herbert is right, but with the ladies on the show, particularly Janelle voicing how fast she wants to move, that's the sticking point, you know.
Tell me something as a man. What did you think about her voicing that? You know, about marriage, you know, like not even saying being serious, being exclusive, but she wants to be engaged by the end of the year. So what was your take on that as a guy?
Well, I personally think it is quite fast, because you've only known each other for a matter of weeks.
Right.
And how much can you really know someone in that time? Like, the cameras are still rolling, of course, so you're going to see sides of them that they're presenting their best self in order to not to put their foot in their mouth, you know. But the thing is, when the cameras stop rolling, that's your opportunity to get to know the real them, because they're not obviously trying to keep up appearance.
Right.
And by Herbert not checking in as much as he's being accused of, he's not really getting to know her outside of the filming. So you know, like I said, I can understand what he's trying to say. It's not a rush. Like, it's a lifelong commitment either way. If you're going to get married, you're expecting to get married, and it's not going to end. So you're expecting a lifelong commitment there. And if you have children, that's definitely a lifelong connection, whether you stay together or not. So yeah, he definitely got to take his time. Unfortunately, Janelle's in a rush, and she has influenced a lot of the other ladies to a degree to kind of put you know, more emphasis on the urgency of actually trying to get married.
Derek Jackson ain't marrying nobody in a year.
Exactly.
Derek Jackson ain't marrying nobody in 10 years.
I agree. Like, but he's saying it. I just think, like I said last week, he wants to get to the gaps. He wants to get to the gaps. That's
he want to get to the yams, and he probably said he's stuck in his mind that me and you gonna go to the end. And that's why he's so comfortable with the questions and asks. He's already pretty much got a guarantee from her that she gonna string them along and they're gonna go to the end together. Baby, we gonna do this, we gonna do that. That's how these phone conversations is going. And I'm not mad at her for wanting to get married within a year at 40 something years. She's supposed to be doing that. I mean, you know what I mean? I'm a firm believer that if it's a time clock on it, handle the things in life that has a time clock on it for you first, and then get to the other stuff. I think this should be her number one priority over money, over anything else like that, if this is what she wants. But I don't think I think Herbert's situation is he's just not alpha enough for a woman like her, and I don't think she can adjust. I think it's a good match, actually, but I don't think she can really adjust. And it takes me back to my I got two best friends, right? One Tony, one Nate out of Detroit. Right. Tony's a big boy, 265.
Oh yeah,
muscles out the neck, muscles out the arms and stuff like that.
How tall is he?
Probably about Quinn's size, about 6'3", you know what I mean? Big boy.
Ooh, yeah.
Nate was dating this girl who's kind of alpha-ish, and he's a small guy. And we're going to Nate like, man, how you gonna let that girl talk to you like that or move like that? You need to boss up. You need to be in this and that. And he said, I don't have the muscles that you guys have. You can say something in a deep voice with your muscles and stuff, and a woman like that will actually respond. He said, at my size, I actually would have to put my hands on her for her to believe me. Like, it ain't the same intimidation. And, you know, you got a big dude like Quentin and an alpha woman like Janelle, and he can, you know, it's just something magical with that sometimes, where it just, the big dude with the muscles just kind of look at her and say, yeah, I ain't gonna take that. And she falls in line with it, where anybody else she's gonna get snipe on. And I think that comfortability with that with Quentin is what attracts her and is letting her be a little more feminine in this process and things of that nature. But I don't think she has it 100% in her, and I don't think she's gonna show that for Herbert.
Does anyone know our Roro for real wants to know what month were they talking? Were they taping the show in? I don't know. I'm thinking September. I'm seeing some jackets in some scenes. Ron, did you know? Do you know when they actually taped this? Because we know we're getting it now, but they taped it in the past.
Yeah, it's usually not probably when it first airs. Usually got taped 2 months, a month and a half before. Like the last episode was probably around that time frame. So they move it pretty quick.
Oh, so that would have put it in this year. So like 2023. So like maybe you're saying maybe February they could have taped.
Yeah, February is cold as a mug in Dallas.
Okay.
February is their coldest. February is Texas coldest month
it is
by far.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Calvin.
she had on leather, and it was. I was
Mhm.
gonna say she did have on leather, and so it must have been kind of chilly, and that's Texas. So yeah, you're right.
Oh yeah, good
But
point. Good point.
what you're looking at,
So she's
what
talking about
stands
10
out to
months.
me
Within 10 months, she wants to
is
be
that
engaged.
what
think that's
can you really
reasonable.
accomplish?
Yeah, it's feasible. She needs to stay on that timeline.
Yeah.
Her man ain't here, but
It's reasonable, but you know what? I guess okay. I'll state this right up front for transparency measures. I got issues with Janelle, and I'm not talking about the pulling up. I'm not talking about the IG live. I'm talking about stuff that she said on the show. So let's go back a ways, right? We meet Janelle at the beginning, and within the first 2 or 3 episodes, we find out that Janelle is the one who has been engaged to be married 3 times. So my question as a woman with maturity and who is seasoned is, how do you end up engaged to 3 different men? None of them you managed to go through with to actually marry, and now
And
you're
nothing
all of a sudden in a
materialized.
rush. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of hard to do. One engagement that's broken, no problem. That happens. You go
But
along,
that's
you
what I'm
discover he's
saying.
not who you think he is. But 3 different times, I got an issue with that. I got an issue with Janelle with that.
with no kids, they sound like rush engagements because how do you break up it's very hard to break up an engagement if y'all been dating a long time, both of the families know each other. This dude buys a $10,000 to $15,000 ring and puts it on your finger on one knee with the whole white horses in the back and did it the right way, and then you're breaking off the engagement, or if somebody's breaking off the engagement, it usually doesn't happen that way. So it's almost like if it's not your baby daddy, is these some quick engagements? Like, hey, you want to get married to me? Like, let's do it, or what's going on here? Because I don't understand that aspect of it. Granted, I've never been married, so somebody, one of the married people here, might help me out on this.
Well, okay, Calvin, that's your slot right there. Jump in. You're married guy.
Right.
Jump
What
in.
I'm
What do you
what
think?
I'm looking at, what I'm looking at, does this typify the dating game today in 2023? Because it seems like people, it takes more to like the sidebar stuff. You say you talk to each other, not just in the during the footage, but off the record be in other settings. So saying that to say is that you really have to commit to somebody, you have to feel something about them that's unique and distinguishable. You're not just committing to a physical attraction. You have to deal with them beyond this moment, and they have years of dating, so you should know more about what you want out of a person at this stage in your life. You're not 20, you're in your 30, you have over 10 or 15 years of dating, so you should know more about yourself and how to size a person up to get the kind of person that you really need. Do you understand who you are? Because it seems like
Yeah.
something is missing across the board if you're trying to capture the moment on TV.
Right.
Are you really being more of a celebrity, or are you being substance? It's more substance than what people realize, because long-term relationship require for you to be able to, as they say, ride or die. You can't just bail out because things get thick. Even if you're not married, you still should be thinking in terms of the good times, the financial. You can still, it can be so good right now, but it can change next year or in a couple of years. Are you going to bail out, or are you going to just reinvent yourself and go to another level and say, baby, I got you, you got me, we're going to do this together, we're going to get out the ditch together? Or if it get thick, you bail out. There's more to relationships than sex and physical and the bling bling. It's what
I agree. I agree.
you
Right.
bring
And
out the person
you know,
that helps them become the person they need to become. It's a lot of work.
right,
A lot of work. And a lot of give, a lot of take.
right.
You were going to say
And
there? Mhm.
this is the thing, like with a history of 3
Yeah.
or 2 or 3 broken engagements, I think that's the reason why there is the rush. That's why I think she's trying to clean that up by
Mhm.
having the pomp and circumstance of finding a man on TV, getting engaged on TV. And I think that's a large part of it, because if anybody, male or female,
Okay.
comes to you and says, yeah, I've been engaged 2 or 3 times and none of them came to fruition, you're going to be like, I want to know more about that. And that's why I say Herbert is right to be cautious, because if he knew about that too, then why would you want to rush into an engagement? That's probably why she has 2 or 3 failed ones. There was some element of rush there rather than taking your time and
Yeah, that's
finding
what
out
I
how.
said about the rush. It wasn't like a full process. But you got to look at it like this, and I hate to say it, but
Okay.
it's the Janelle show right now, right? That's why
Yeah.
Quentin is holding on to her little ankle and stuff, because Quentin wants to be with the leader lady who's going to go to the end. So
Right.
it's the Janelle show.
Yeah.
How does it become the Janelle show is what you got to ask. And I've been on as a castmate. I know how you become the leading lady. The person
And
who's
how is that, Ryan? How does one become the leading lady on Ready to Love?
the person with the best representative. And she has the best representative, and that's probably why she had 3 engagements. And once they found out what the real was going on, somebody opt out because her representative game is great, and it's gonna translate through this show 100%. Leading lady, it might even transfer it a little bit to some business deals. But can you? Does it sustain for a long period of time? You come down to Houston, I got relationships down here 17, 18 years, solid. Like I said, I could have done anything on the show, came back, Houston still represented Detroit. You know what I mean? I'm myself 100% through. That's who I'm going to be.
Right.
And true to that. Some people got a very good representative game that hits you real quick, like bang, for something like this. But once you deeper in and find out what's really going on, they can't sustain that.
Right.
And so now you look at a Janelle who's 44, who looks like she has a little success in business, but she doesn't have the long-term success in business. Maybe like some of the other people, and she has the most connections, but do we really see them as strong long-term connections? We don't see none of them are. You know what I mean? So that it's the difference between having a very good upfront representative game, which she has, to the substance of carrying it long term. And I think that's where she's hurting at.
Right, that long term.
Exactly.
And to your point, so Quentin, we hear Clinton claiming that not only is he seeking marriage, but he's looking forward to walking down the aisle. I almost fell off my sofa while I was watching this, because what man have I ever heard? And I'm talking about, I've been married before, okay? What man have I ever heard say that he's looking forward to walking down the aisle? That is total and utter BS. I call BS. And I may have to add Quentin along with Marie as this season's politician. Okay?
Listen,
Jackson.
Exactly. Listen, you can add him to the list of politicians, because when he put those spectacles on, that's when he goes into politician mode.
Oh, right. You seeing a tail? You seeing a tail? Are you, JR? I gotta look for that. Whenever he slides on his spectacles, he's getting in his politician mode. Is that what it is?
Exactly. That's when he's getting in his politician bag. You're right. Like, marriage is tended to be viewed differently by men, because let's face it, when it goes wrong, we lose more, financially and otherwise. But he may be someone that's actually romanticizing marriage and what it could possibly be like for him. But I heard a few things from Quentin this episode which made me be like, I'm thinking, nah, this dude is actually just saying what Janelle wants to hear in order to get to the yams. And one of the things he said was, he said that and this isn't necessarily to do with relationships. He said he was relatively new as an entrepreneur, so he's still finding himself.
Ooh, yeah,
Now,
he
when he
did.
said that, yeah, when he said that, I was like, okay. So, like
Mhm.
there's going to be a period of instability with what he does financially. And
Mhm.
if he's in a rush to get married, or, particularly with Janelle doesn't seem like the type of person who's going to sit down and tolerate that. Like, I feel like she wants to get married, yes, but she still wants to have some element of stability. And I think it's mainly a physical attraction that's actually keeping them interested in each other. He was
Mhm.
able to pick her up earlier on, and that was something she wanted,
Yeah, she
playfully or whatever.
aspired to that. She actually said she
Exactly,
aspired to having a man that was able to pick her up, right?
exactly. He did that, and then he's also saying the right things,
Mhm.
whether we believe it's genuine or not. He's playing straight into what she's looking for, and now he has to live up to it. He has to support what he's been saying. He has to be consistent on that. But Quentin is a enigma in himself, because the way he has kind of discarded and brushed off Lee, that tells me that he's completely locked into Janelle, and to some extent. Lee was his other connection, and he doesn't seem really impressed or interested in pursuing that anymore based on their date.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and I don't understand because if you guys go back and follow back with me, remember the connection on screen, at least for this viewer, and maybe you guys can confirm or deny, but the connection between Lee, the sparks were flying between Lee and Quentin very early on. And I thought that was even before we really saw Phil and Eris. I thought that Lee and Quentin were going to be our couple, but fast forward, and Quentin is throwing Lee under the bus, saying, well, hey, basically I ghosted you. And he's saying that in front of her competition or the other woman that he's dating, right? And then he's
Janelle.
saying Janelle, and then he's saying that in front of his ex. And like, I mean, I
Mhm.
don't believe in the whole competition theory. I'm not going to compete on that level. Like, I'm not going to view her as my competition. But at the same time, if you verbally embarrass me in front of someone in public, I know that's a slight, and I'm going to take that. I'm going to analyze that, and I'm going to say, you know what? He doesn't respect me. He doesn't care about my feelings, and that's it. That's it. That's all.
Mhm.
Yeah, and he's right.
Mhm.
But Quinn's doing the right thing. Quinn is a person who has studied Ready to Love. I could tell a
Mhm.
studier, and he knows like I'm not about to go to the end with Lee and end up being the guy that breaks this little dark skinned woman's heart and get ridiculed by the fans when I can go to the end with Janelle and I have 20 outs to get out that relationship. She's 10 years older. She wants to get married right away. She wants this, that, and we can just break it off. And I'll take that little fame I got and start my little fitness business, whatever I want to do, sell some supplements, whatever, and go on it this way. And it'll be just fine. And he is 100% right.
Mhm.
Mm, well, that's interesting. That's interesting. Um, Lee's best friend Muffin is supposed to be grilling Quentin on their date, but after a few questions, it seems like the muscles entered the room, and as few muscles entered the room, Muffin lost her mind. She lost her
Mhm.
ever-loving, natural-born mind. Like, she's sizing this guy up like he is actually the muffin, and she's the eater of the muffin.
Mhm.
Like, she's checking him out. She wants to get all the hugs. She's knocking old girl out the way. Like, I need to hug him first. Move out the way. Move out the way. Okay.
Mhm.
I'm like, you know what? If these grown arse women don't stop playing like they're teenagers now,
Mhm.
what she did, I can see a teenager doing. I
Right.
could even see a college age student doing. But
Mhm.
once you cross that threshold of 25, please start to grow up.
Okay.
Please start to grow up. Please start adulting immediately. And I don't think she's 25. Now, I could be wrong. She's very beautiful, by the way. Both women
Mhm.
very beautiful. Two good looking girlfriends, but I don't think any of them are 25 or under.
Mm-hmm.
What did you guys make of Muffin and Quentin?
Well, you said it. She was more
Yeah.
attracted to him than trying to get into how he really thinks. She was really looking at him more in a physical sense instead of trying to get his MO or what he expects out of her. It's just like, oh, that went out the window. So again, what is the focus point on? Is it on long-term, enduring relationships, or is just on just the moment? It's kind of a blur. I mean, it's interesting to watch the show, but again, is this the state of dating today, or is it just that people just don't know what to expect out of dating, so they're just going inventing themselves along the way, you know, trying to fit into things, or
All right,
are they
Calvin.
really? Yeah.
Calvin, we're the seniors on board here. So
Okay, yeah, sorry.
I'm gonna ask these three youngins. Okay, is this really is this the plight of dating in 2023, guys, or relationships? Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah.
Kimberly, what do you say? We'll start with ladies first, and then let the gentlemen chime in too.
You mean as far as the way Muffin was acting, or?
Well, no. I think what Calvin was saying was collectively what we're seeing on the
That's
show.
right.
No, not Muffin at this point, but no, collectively what we've seen on these dates. Is this representative of dating right now?
Yes. Oh,
That's
yes.
what I'm saying.
I think it is. For sure. As someone who has been engaged 3 times before the age of 36, let me throw that out there since y'all shading everybody.
Okay.
Kimberly got the goods though. She can secure the ring though.
Yes.
I couldn't let that one go and never been married and no children. But I believe that's why I respect women who, put that out there and who are not willing to be 10 years a girlfriend or even 2 years a girlfriend.
That's right.
This is the reality of dating. I believe in dating multiple. I'm engaged now, of course, but I have a wait list of guys who are like, you're the one, I'm going to wait on you. You're a great wife. They see the good qualities. I've never been dumped. I always in the relationship. Could be a little bit of, commitment issues. I'm in therapy for that. I believe in therapy, but I'm just saying,
we'll
yes,
get to that in a minute too. Okay.
Yeah, you have to, because yes, this is the reality of dating. It's like, on both sides, men and women, they're really not giving the energy. They just want the title and they don't want to really commit. And marriage isn't ultimately the goal. They just want someone to pass time with.
That's what I'm saying.
All right. Okay. Now the two gentlemen, I don't know who goes first. JR, you want to go next? Thank you, Kimberly.
Is this the reality of dating in 2023?
Yes.
I think dating in 2023 is a lot more difficult because there are so many things and influences now out there that can determine how your relationship's going to play out, how it's going to go. You have social media, you have different talking points that or different things that may trigger both parties that probably weren't thought about 10, 20 years ago, so with the modernization that we've experienced, the technological advances, also comes the way we view each other differently as well. It's also evolved into something that kind of looks like a battle zone, a war field at times. And there's also the other aspect where people are steadfast in what they're looking for and what they want, and they're not preparing to settle for anything less. So when you put those together, then obviously it looks like a very obstacle-filled journey to find the love that you're looking for, the relationship you're looking for. But that's just a section of people. That's a demographic of people. It's not for everyone. Some people naturally find it. They're fortunate enough to find their mate. The chemistry is great. That still does happen, but it's not as common as it once was.
Okay. All right. Now, Ron, you get the last say so on this as a young in the group.
Yeah, I think it's very, very, and it's in its own segment, but it's very, very superficial in regards to a lot of things. For Muffin's situation, I think she did exactly what she was supposed to do. She wanted to look at the men. She get there early. You got it's free liquor. You have a couple glasses of wine and stuff. Where the men at? Oh, that one look good. That one look bigger. That one, she was-
That works, but if we're on a date where we're trying to get information to secure our girlfriend's
yeah, that's what they tell you you're supposed to do. But she's trying to have a little fun too. You didn't took her off of work. She want to have a little fun. She want to enjoy herself. But
like you pointed out, though, they probably had liquored her up. I forgot about the liquor.
yeah, we're gonna especially for that one. They get the friends a few drinks and stuff, and she wanted okay, bring the man out. That's what's kind because she got to see multiple men. It ain't like she was just meeting one. So it's like if I got to meet multiple men, I'm gonna size them up on their looks at first, and that's kind of what she did. But it's superficial all the way around. If y'all don't think somebody like Quentin in the fitness, somebody else, he's gonna be a superficial guy too. And here's what people don't understand: they think like somebody like Quentin doesn't want something, and he does. He knows he can go flex his muscle and look good and have a tall, have a what I call pretty male privilege. Like I said, I've been studying on it for my podcast because it was the first episode was gonna be about pretty male privilege. And you'll have girls like that will come flocking and I want to hug and touch your muscles, stuff like that. He don't want any of them. He's had those women after him 5-6 years. The woman that Quentin wants, Quentin can't afford right now. He's gonna take muscles and money. He wants something that looks totally, there's levels to this stuff now when it comes to this superficial dating. And he wants something on a different level to even when he's on. And to do that, he's going to have the successful business with the height and the muscles. And she's going to look totally different than any of these other girls in anything that. This whole, that girl likes you just go marry her and stuff. That don't work for guys like him. He's looking at you like you're crazy. Oh, no, I bet I've had a conversation with Quentin, and I eventually will in person. Dude's gonna be a picky SOB, just like a Blake is a picky SOB. It's like some of these guys are some picky SOBs, and some of these women are too. And that's why I sum it all up into this new age of dating is very superficial, is very competitive, is very I want something that's a 1 step, 2 step above where I'm at. And I'm going to dream or try to work up to get to it or something like that. But I'm not selling it for anything less. And it's crazy out here.
Yeah.
And I'll also say, because in regards to Muffin and Lee and Q's date, listen, it struck me that Muffin is not the type of friend that you want to go and confide information about Quentin to, because she already has some level of attraction to him despite it being her friend's love interest, and that's not going to be a good recipe if Lee thinks she can go and say, me and Q got into it last night. I don't know. Nah, man, Muffin's the type of person who, the energy she gave is like, oh, let me go speak to Q and see if I can help him.
Yeah.
And that's going to lead somewhere, right? Because, she was pretty much gooey-eyed and giddy when he
like a school kid. She absolutely was.
And let's be real, Quentin does have the aesthetics. Like, he does have the muscles, the height, the dark skin, the clean fade, the white teeth, the big smile, the charisma. He has a lot going for him. So I'm not even mad at it. But like I said, no, as a friend, she should have really kept it very conservative. But at the same time, she was keeping it real. Like, she was saying, this is an attractive guy, attractive enough to throw her off her chain of thought. So she can probably see why Lee's interested. But yeah, she didn't do Lee any favors with that, because she didn't actually
Right.
get to any of the questions that Lee
Right.
wanted
You
answered,
took,
and that
you
was the
stole the
task.
words out of my mouth. I was just about to say, where were the probing questions? Hey
Mhm.
girl, you're my best friend. Your job is to come here and query this man and ask him all the things that I need to know, or at least some of the things, the important things. Find out why he's really interested in me. And instead of you doing that, you're busy looking over his muscles. Come on,
Exactly, and I think if Muffin had have asked probing questions, they would have been for herself.
Mm.
Right.
Ooh,
Yep.
Mhm.
Lord have mercy. You know, and even Quentin, we see Quentin in his confessional during this whole date. You know, you see Quentin in the
Mhm.
confessional saying, I didn't even get to ask the questions that I needed to ask. It seemed like her friend was just, she really didn't do a good job. She didn't do it justice,
Mhm. Mhm.
Not at
So
all.
that's just my thoughts, but what do I know?
Mhm.
Um
Mhm.
So we find out that on the other side of town, uh, Marie, the politician, strikes again.
Mhm.
Uh, because Marie is on his date and he is telling all the things and saying all the right things with, wait a minute, who's this date I'm talking about with Marie? Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the setup. Okay, so Sierra has set up her date with her two
Mhm.
friends, Marie, and then they're meeting Marie and Herbert.
Mhm.
Marie and Herbert both seem to be surprised and shocked to see one another, but of course Herbert, he begins to shrink back, and Marie, once again, he's the politician. What did you guys think? And Ron, I know you love you some
Mhm.
Sierra, so what did you think about this date,
Mhm.
Ron?
Uh, like I said, I don't see her with either two of these men. I
Mhm.
think Maurier, he knows what his advantage is in this
Mm,
situation. Like you say, I'm a smooth talk. I'm gonna get smooth with it. That's all I got. I ain't I ain't 6'4". I don't got a six pack. I can get smooth though. You know what I mean? I'm the smooth. That's what I'm playing. That's my role.
okay. I
So
got
he's gonna
waves
think.
and I'm smooth. I got waves
Yeah, I
and I'm
got the
smooth.
waves. I'm gonna come in. I'm gonna rub my hands together, and I'm gonna say something in a smooth tone and hope it comes across. So he's doing his part. I think Herbert's more of a realist that understands like me and her ain't not gonna be a long term item. So what am I doing? You know what I mean? I'm just gonna lay back, kind of, and just go with the flow with it.
Mhm.
But yeah, I was surprised. Like I said, I don't see Sierra's match here, so I thought she would have been gone a couple episodes ago. But yeah, you said politician. I can see he's kicking his game. Every man's gonna play to their strengths, right? If you're
Mhm.
Right.
Quentin, you're gonna play on that presence like he did with Muffin. Quentin probably looks bigger on in real life, even on TV. I bet this guy's huge, right? So you're gonna play on that presence. I'm coming in big and give my, you know what I mean. And I'm not gonna blame Maurier for playing on this smooth talk. You know what I mean? Let him do his thing.
Hmm. Yeah, I see Morier as having no other option but to try and change up how he's been presenting himself, because he definitely bombed out with the last episode and the tarot cards and how he played it. So he's on redeem team. He's trying to redeem some connection. I don't see it with Sierra at all, but it's his only hope, right? So I think he tried to pour it on a bit thicker than he normally would.
Mm-hmm.
I'm quite sure if he still had those two other connections, then he wouldn't even be interested in Sierra in that way. But he has to do something to stay on the show. Um, I'm not saying that his only motivation is the show. He does seem like there is, at times, he does say that he's looking for a relationship and express what he's looking for. But I think the whole Pan-Africanism and everything we've learned about him so far, I don't think that's a match for Sierra. And I think she knows it. I think she's been coasting. She's never been a top connection. She doesn't have any top connections. I think she presents, a good sense of humor to the fellas and to the ladies.
Mm-hmm. She
But
does. She's fun.
But that's not a romantic connection, you know. So yeah, I think both of these two, I don't see them working out as a couple. Maybe friends.
You don't see Marie and Sierra working out as a couple?
No.
What you laughing over there, Ryan? Why you laughing?
This is not like she needs a guy that's kind of superficial, likes to take trips, wear little Louis. You got one of those little, those little mini Louis bags, some little purses the men be wearing and stuff. Yeah, I can picture her man wearing a purse and strap over whatever. Yeah, and he likes to take her to nice little dinners and stuff, and they, and it'll work. It'll work as a long-term relationship. It'll go well. But that guy is not on this show. We ain't seen that guy yet.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't even see the guy get eliminated. We have not seen that guy at all in Dallas. And there's a lot of guys like that in Dallas. It's a very superficial city like that, but they didn't cast anybody like that on this season.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It looked like everybody looking off for number one,
Right. It's not a lot of people really seeming like they're willing to negotiate this season. I mean, like when I say negotiate, like I should use the word compromise, right? Compromise. Let's see. So we're at Aries says that Marie. It was an Aries that said that about Marie. Did she say he stimulated her? Or am I mixing her up with Sierra? I think I want to say, yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, so it's Sierra says that Marie stimulates her. And I'm like, wow, okay, all right. We got Jessica friends meet Marie and Chris, and this is the day we kind of already talked about this a little bit, where Chris kind of shrunk back. But let's just check this out. I want you guys to weigh in on this. Chris basically comes out again and says in front of Jessica's friends that she is strong and that he likes his women soft. He needs to see a softer side of her, and he does it. I will say this. I'm gonna add to this. So he says it only after her friends, kind of the female, the lady girlfriend of hers says, well, basically we kind of heard about you talking about her being, like assertive and too assertive for you. And then he says, well, yeah, that's the case. She's really strong and so forth and so on. What did you guys feel? Calvin, could you mute your mic?
Yes, I'm sorry. I had answered the door. Please forgive me. Yeah.
Right, no problem. Could you just mute your mic for a minute while you're not on? Guys, what did you think about how he handled that and what Chris said? I mean, because once again, he kind of like threw her under the bus. I felt like, like, why are you coming to these dates with my friends if you really feel that I'm this person, that I'm overly assertive? Like, and there's no love lost between the two of us. Why are you even showing up for these dates? It's kind of disappointing.
Well, I think this is production dates. I don't think he's, they're actively, seeking each other out all the time to go on dates with. I think production are putting them together because they have a story to tell. They have a story to create for all of us, viewers. But he's steadfast in what he's looking for, and she's steadfast in who she is and what she's looking for too. It's not a match. No. If he said this more than once, then it's a consistent theme. He's not seeing the nurturing, loving elements that he's looking for. And he wasn't going to sugarcoat it just because he's in front of her friends. And I don't think he should. It's a valid thing to actually want in a relationship. You want someone who is going to speak to you differently than they speak to other people. In terms of having that romantic connection, you're the only person they're going to have a romantic connection with. So if they can't turn it on for you innately, like automatically, it shouldn't be a request. It should be something that's naturally happening. Like when someone really likes you, they are really soft with you. They're kind with you. They are, I think, loving with you, right? So so the fact that he has to keep saying the same thing means he's not seeing any change, and she's not changing. She doesn't have to change. She can be who she is, and there will be a guy that will want to snap her up, but you know, Chris has already said this is what it takes for him to want to snap you up, and he doesn't see that. So yeah, I think it's a production date more than anything else to finish the storyline between them.
Oh, okay, to kind of wrap it up and kind of tie it up in and we kind of see that a little bit later on. We're going to come to that. Kimberly, you want to add anything to this?
I just think that Jessica and Chris kind of look good together, and that's what Jessica's going after. I don't really see her being connected to Marie, so it's kind of more like a good look, because Jessica was very interested in Chris until he started talking about being softer and submitting, and you know,
she
just
was,
kind of,
wasn't she?
yeah, and even the catering to him, that the ex-girlfriend brought up, that was just like a huge turnoff for Jessica. But
Last
maybe
week.
they are having
Yeah.
some like behind the scenes conversations, and that's what keeps bringing them back together. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay, that it was more like they look good together. They make it a nice looking a power couple, as the young people like to say, which always
Mhm.
burns me to no ends, because I don't think people
Right.
even know. I don't think people even know what that is, but never mind that. But everybody wants to be the quote unquote power couple. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
right. Okay, knock yourselves out. Marie sees an opening while Chris is talking about her being strong, and he's kind of, he's saying that she's strong, but it's certainly, as we're listening, the tone of what he's saying, it doesn't sound like strong is actually what he's looking for. So Marie sees an opening and states that he actually likes strength, and it turns him on. So of course the two best friends, they're sitting there oohing and ahhing like, ooh, Marie likes a strong woman. This gonna work for her. My girl, she gonna have her husband before you know it, right? And then they asked him the question. They said, but what do you do when things aren't working out well for you? And we find out that Marie, he is actually in therapy. Now I'm going to turn serious now, because, he did lose his father. He lost his father, and he said he started therapy, and this has been one of the greatest gifts to him. And I must say that I agree. Now, they shift to Chris to ask him, does he do therapy? And Chris says, yes, he does
Virtual
therapy. Now, I've got some thoughts on this, but I want you guys to weigh in, because I just got so much to say about this particular part of the scene. This was so fascinating to me. JR, what did you think of this?
Yeah, if virtual therapy means online therapy with a counselor, then I can kind of see it. He may be too busy to actually attend physical appointments, so he schedules them into like a Zoom or some type of online coaching in some way, right?
Right.
But yeah, like, I mean, therapy is a serious and commendable thing to do, because it takes the element of self-realization, and also you're trusting the therapist to be able to help you as well, so you're being vulnerable at the time of your sessions. I think it's a good thing that both men are in therapy, because these two are the two men who we have identified as needing therapy. Maurier, like you said, through the loss of his father. Also, he may even use those tarot cards as a form of therapy too, to actually get through things, right?
I never thought of it that way. Okay.
Chris has obviously spoken about the loss of his mom. So both of these guys have lost a parent.
Yes.
And they may be struggling to deal with that in elements of their life. So it's a very serious and commendable thing. But with regards to Maurier saying how he likes a strong woman, like I said, he's in cleanup mode too. He's trying to mop up mess from last week with Jessica and the tarot cards and all of that.
Yes.
And the friends may be happy that he said that, but ultimately he still practices the spiritual elements that Jessica is not cool with. She said she's in no way, shape, or form interested in that. So I don't see him necessarily giving that up if it means that much to him. But he may be open to compromise. I guess that's a conversation they'll have to have. But are there connection? No, I think Maurier is just in cleanup mode, trying to salvage connections that he damaged before.
This is hot mess. But here's the thing. Here's the thing with Chris. Chris might and Jessica might end up being the best friends of anybody on this cast. And I say this because me and Chris are a lot alike in a lot of ways. We got some things in common. And if you ask me who my best friends now from my cast, they were all the strongest women. Even though I'm like Chris, I don't want a strong one. I would have ran for Jessica like the plague. I was sprinted out the door. But my best friends from the show is Kyra, Venetia, and Stacy. And we talk and hang all the time. And these are the strongest women by far that was on our season.
Yeah.
Now, is there a love connection between the three? No way in the world. But I love these girls and they love me. You know what I mean? Like those are my strong women. Yeah. So just because you don't date in that realm doesn't mean that you don't respect a strong woman and that y'all don't get along. Y'all ain't best friends. Y'all don't boss, ideas from and stuff. So I think her and Chris might end up, if they don't already have it, might end up having that dynamic because, like I said, it happened with me. Marie's situation is going to be, I think his problem with her is going to be that he was very serious about that sex thing. And I know they kind of breezed through it a little bit, but he's a sexual guy. He gonna want to take control in the bedroom, and Jessica don't like she's giving even control in that aspect either. She ain't giving up no control over there. So he ain't gonna be able to do all the things that he gonna want to do, and especially with the attraction, it ain't gonna work. So he gonna need somebody that he feels. Sometimes men feel love from that. They feel a certain thing to be able to do whatever they want to do in the bedroom with a woman, whenever they want to, however they want to. And him being maybe a little insecure, being a big guy, he's gonna need that. And she's not offering that.
Where's Marvin when you need him, talking about being able to do anything and everything in the boudoir, as the French would say, the boudoir. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Maury gonna want that. Like he was obvious. I mean, he was honest about it and stuff like that. She don't seem like she the type of person that just in a rush to drop it like it's hot any way you want it, whenever you want it type of thing. It ain't gonna work that way. And so that they're not gonna have a sexual chemistry, and Maury is gonna need that. Now with the therapy thing, it's good that everybody's in therapy. I'm not in therapy. I ain't going to therapy. 5 years ago, I never heard anything about therapy, and it wasn't a popular. Now it's this buzzword that everybody using now. So when he goes, I'm doing virtual therapy. Maybe you are, maybe you're not, but it's definitely a popular thing to take some control of your emotional actions. And if you're suffering emotionally, the best thing to do is not spew that out on somebody else who doesn't deserve it. And if you can be a man enough to compromise from that, then fine. But I'm not the type of person that just going, I'm in therapy because it's cool now. And I'll be like, yo, I was not in therapy 5 or 6 years ago when it wasn't popular, and I probably really needed it then because of this situation. So that's kind of how I feel about therapy. Like I said, I'm glad everybody's trying to get some mental help and stuff like that. But I figured out my own ways as a 40-year-old man, in a man, how to handle my emotional thoughts and things of that nature up to this point.
You're tapping on something that I want to touch on, but I think, let me see if everybody else has gotten in here. Kimberly, did you have anything you want to add to the whole situation between Chris and Marie talking about therapy, and the friend asking Chris, was he in therapy? And then Chris going further to confide that, yes, he does virtual therapy. Did you have anything you want to say about that scene?
No, I'm just all for it. I think the pandemic really opened up something in us and made us want it to go more so with it. And I just like having a second opinion, someone, who can give you guidance or whatever, because we all have experienced trauma, whether we admit to it or not. Just being Black in America, or Black period, anywhere around the world, we've been through things, and I think it is very important to get it if you need it.
Good point.
You need it after this show. You're a cat.
Oh gosh.
Right. Well, and you know what? And you bring up a very serious point, because absolutely, I've been saying that these reality shows, and especially Ready to Love and Married at First Sight, Kimberly, we can attest to that, are two shows where people very much, the cast members definitely need during the casting and the shooting care, and they definitely need after mental health care, I believe. I'm going to say that. But what my point was, I'm sorry, Calvin, did you want to weigh in? I'm sorry.
Well, we're going through a realignment right now, like never before. We was challenged before the pandemic, and we're even challenged more so after the pandemic.
Yes.
So now there's a need to have a close relationship on many levels. One with yourself, other people, and your higher consciousness. Because a lot of things we've been challenged immensely. So now we need to get to some nuts and bolts about how to live, and it's especially evident up close and personal with relationships. This is why I'm asking everybody looking out for number one right now for themselves. So in a relationship, what are you looking for? What are you really looking for that's going to help you become the person that you need to become? A person cannot complete you, but they can complement you.
Yes.
So when you talk about your personal space, it's important the kind of people that are in your personal space because they can either make you or break you. And people don't want to be alone, but then they still don't want to be lonely.
Mhm.
Ooh, say that. Say that.
Mhm.
And then here's another thing. You don't want to be in a relationship and still be lonely. How
That's
about
right.
that
That's
one?
right. See, I have
But
to
this
focus on quality. Quality,
mhm,
quality. Quality is another
quality over
variable that people
quantity.
consider. That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yes.
People, you go through different relationships, you don't want to get burnt out, disillusioned by love because you say you're ready for love, but are you really ready for love? Yes, I'm
Mm.
really ready for love because it seems like it's not happening right now in the show like it needs to because this is 8 weeks, and 8 weeks. I don't know how long it lasts. Is it 10 weeks? Is it 12 weeks? So you have a
Guys, what
so
is it about 14 episodes to cover the show. So I think
Mhm.
about week 12 we're finished with the whole, all the dating
Mhm.
Calvin, and we know Calvin is new. This is his first season of Ready to
Yeah.
Love. So it's
Mhm.
about 12 episodes. So we are nearing the end because this actually was episode 8. So we got only a few more, and next week we're going into the getaway. They're doing a 1 day getaway, and that's where you really see a lot of stuff pop off, Calvin. So be ready. But
Mhm.
yeah, then the last 2 episodes are the reunion episodes, right?
Mhm.
So we're almost there. But here, guys, here's what I noticed, and here's what, as having gone through training for social work, this is what I didn't like about this particular part of the episode. I thought it was wonderful that Marie on his own provocation said that, hey, well, they asked the question, but they never mentioned therapy. But he said of his own provocation, of his own free will, I've been to therapy, I'm going to therapy, I'm doing therapy, and this is helping. Right? That's fine.
Right.
That's
Mhm.
fine. But what I didn't like was the gentleman friend of hers turned to Chris and asked Chris, do you do therapy? Are you in therapy? And I immediately said, no, 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 that's not what you do. You can ask him what he does, but you don't just throw therapy out there. That was, to me, that was almost as atrocious as the young lady last week that asked for Marie, like, okay, like, how often do you like to have, hot and heavy time with your man? Like,
Mhm.
what? You say what now? You
Mhm.
don't know me. You don't even know my last name, and you already asking me about hot and heavy time. And in this case, it was about therapy. That just, for me, that was like, that was not cool. That really was
Mhm.
not cool. And not to mention the fact it's on national television. It really
Mhm.
wasn't cool. If he wanted to volunteer that was up to him. But do not
Mhm.
ask that question, because that is a very intimate question. And that's a very intimate space to talk about. Am I in therapy? So forth and so on. Now, I don't know if anybody else felt that, but that's just my thing.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Because the person has to be okay with the fact that they're in therapy and that they cannot disclose without somebody feeling that inadequate, because in the therapy, you go into therapy, people say, wow, you crazy, you're going to therapy. Well, you have a need that has to be met and addressed. Then you're into a healing mode, getting some reconciliation within your life. So just going to therapy doesn't mean that you probably better off going to therapy than not going to therapy if you have a need.
Well,
Mhm.
that's the way they think about it now, but I disagree. I think that now it's almost like, well, everybody has some kind of trauma deep inside, no matter
Mhm.
what. So everybody should be going to therapy. No, if you don't need therapy, do not spend no money in your time going to therapy.
Mhm.
Take that time and money, put it in your purpose or invest it in yourself. Not everybody needs therapy. You need other stuff way before that. And just because it's cool now, because like I said, 5 years ago, I didn't hear anybody talk about no damn therapy, and everybody was doing just fine. So it's like, if you need it, use it, but it's not nothing to brag about. It's not nothing to bring. Like, I'm with you, Aubrey. It's not nothing to bring up in a conversation like this or whatnot, and then go to you. Are you doing therapy too? This is good. Like, no, no, I'm not doing no therapy. I have nothing wrong. I'm fine right now. You know what I mean? I'm handling some other stuff. I got other problems that I'm dealing with. I have a wolf pack because I have a wolf pack of guys, so I can bounce some stuff off of, and, that are down. You know what I mean? And knows me like the back of my hand. So I don't necessarily never needed it, but don't tell me something because it's the buzzword now, the popular thing now. Like, okay, we're gonna go to therapy and they're gonna play some pickleball after this because it's the new thing. You know what I mean? No.
Right.
If you don't need therapy, you don't need it. If you need it, go. But it's not for everybody. It's just not.
No, and you're absolutely right. Go ahead, JR. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, the thing about therapy is, you know, everybody has been through things, has experienced ups and downs, highs and lows. I think you need therapy when some of those highs and lows you've experienced start to spill over into relationships and other areas of your life. Like when you can't control it yourself, then you need to talk it through and try and find strategies or coping mechanisms of how to not allow it to interfere with, you know, other things that you've got going on. So, you know, if it's lingering and you can't seem to find the answers, then therapy is more than you know, more than accurate, more than necessary for you to do. And it takes, you know, the first step is always the hardest to take, like in anything. Like the first step to therapy is probably quite difficult because, you know, you're going to share your most intimate or deepest traumas with someone and be assessed and be quizzed and be, you know, asked questions about it, which may trigger different emotional responses. So it's a serious thing. But I agree with Ron. Like, if you're in control of your life to the point where, you know, you can experience things and not necessarily shrug it off, but you're in control of it to the point where it doesn't leak over into other aspects, then you don't need therapy because you're handling it yourself. It's when you can't handle it yourself, that's when you need to seek external help.
I'm gonna say, do y'all know who's really doing these therapies? Because I have a best friend she's the owner of a therapy business, got 12 levels on the floor, and I see who she hires. And everybody think it's so cool, and her business started booming, like you said, after COVID, and insurance got lighter, and everybody was getting in therapy, and it's a new thing, and she's making a ton of money. But I'm like, dude, you got people with GEDs off the street being therapists for people who really need. Like, this is. I'm not gonna get into it, but I got my own emotions.
Well, I'm not gonna, I don't know your girlfriend. I for one, I'm volunteering transparency here once again. You know, because I studied it, and in studying it, you have to many good programs, solid programs across the United States require that if you're going to be therapizing, that you also do therapy, so you know from the inside out how therapy works. And then as someone who's attended and went to therapy on my own, it's very serious. I don't know what you're talking about, Ron, in terms of your friend, and you know, I can't even imagine. But me myself, because I also do the same thing vetting any professional in my life, I'm a very good researcher, right? So by the time I come sit down in your chair on your couch or whatever, I already know where you went to school. I know what everybody's saying about you, not just online, but I probably run across some people and talk to them about you.
And I'm just saying, the requirements I'm saying are not
very serious. It's very serious. But to your point, but one thing I caught that you said, and this is a tenet of therapy and a tenet of actually having a good, healthy, solid mental health foundation. You said it. You talked about the wolf pack. So what you learn is that anyone who has a strong support system, so this is the key thing for good mental health, is that you have a good support system. That means, like for me, i.e. my church family, Kelvin, you and I can relate on that, right? Strong support system from our church family, from our church members, from our pastor. I have always had that. And then as far as girlfriends, like you have at the Wolf Pack, I guess I'll call it, whatever the girls call it, the girl pack, right? So people that tend to have strong relationships that are ongoing, we have people that we can bounce things off of. There are a lot of people though in the world that don't have that same strong support system. So they're much more likely to need to have someone professional to sit down and talk with. But that doesn't exclude, like I said, even for me having a strong support system, that there are times in my life when I went through trauma, lost people, lost my father, lost my mother, where I didn't need to sit down with someone professional and get a professional to look at it and them to give me the tools how to deal with whatever I was going through. And I thank them for that. So it's nothing absolutely wrong with that. You're right. But I just don't want anybody asking me in an open conversation, and you just met me today. Don't you dare ask me about my SCX life, and don't you dare ask me about therapy. That's ridiculous.
Because it's privileged information.
Exactly.
And not everybody can handle information about people because of how they can use it against you on many levels. So it's a privileged, confidential relationship. The thing about therapy that we have to understand is that it's not for everybody, but everybody needs some kind of therapeutic type relationship, not just professional. You need to have somebody that's your go-to guy, a go-to person that you can talk to about whatever you choose to. It's not just restricted to professionals. It's anybody that's your confidant. That's your confidant,
Yeah.
And I know that for being a castmate like that, like we need therapy coming up off the show. I ain't gonna lie. And there's nobody that I've never been on the show that then I had a traumatic experience from being on the show. And that's, I don't care how good your edits were or how bad they were. But the fact of the matter is, there's some people that we ain't filmed in like 3 years. I can call up right now on the phone and they would spew out a 3-hour conversation about Ready to Love and went on and repassed like that. And they're doing it to me because I'm the only person that can understand. It's therapy. It's therapy for them. Yeah, I'm the therapist. But you can't talk. They can't talk to anybody else. You can't talk to somebody who's seen it on TV because it's a whole different experience going through it. And it's certain things that they can't, if they explain it to you, you're not going to believe them. And so they can't even explain, oh, this is what happened. No, that ain't what happened. I saw this on that. All right, already right now, I don't trust you. You don't know what's going on. So you got to be somebody who went through it, through the behind the scenes, the back scenes part about it, to really understand where they're coming from and have understanding. And there's only a handful of us that has been through the process. And then, you find somebody that you trust a little bit, that you can vent it out, who understands. That I have been a therapist in certain realms to different people, and they have been that for me. So a therapist would never understand what the heck went on this show, and you wouldn't be able to explain it to them. I mean, it's something that's very deeper than what what everybody else sees and what goes on. It's stuff I didn't even scratch the surface ever, and I would take it to my grave. But
and I, looking at it from a therapeutic mindset, can see some of the stuff. I mean, I can see some of the manipulation. I think that we as viewers, and particularly those of us that recap the show, JR probably would agree, Kimberly probably would agree, because we know that dirty stuff we see over on Married at First Sight. We understand that there's a lot of things going on with production, and sometimes we can figure it out, and sometimes when we interview you guys, you totally blow us away to find out it was XYZ when we thought it was A, B, and C. Wow.
Yes.
So but as we move forward, because we whole topic on that, but as we move forward, so back in the ladies' lounge, the women are amped up to dish on the men, and they're talking they want to barbecue the men. I'm like, what? They're gonna barbecue the men? What? I don't think any of them look like they taste all that good, but whatever. Lee tells how mesmerized her friend Muffin was over Quentin's muscles. Janelle says that Herbert cannot be trusted, is what her friends told her. And then there's they said Janelle's friend said that her and Herbert might like the chase that they have with one another. I thought that was an interesting observation, because I kind of thought that early on, is that they like to chase. And then now that's also what's going on with Janelle and Quentin, right? And then Jessica's date got no answers except for Marie, and Sierra with an S. Her friends think that Marie wants to do the Humpty Dumpty Freaknik with her. It was wild what these ladies were talking about in the ladies'
on it.
It was crazy. I was like, "What the Humpty Dumpty Freaknik? What?" But anyway, Eris's people, they like Chris rather than Phil, who we had all planned to see her ride off into the sunset with, which kind of disturbed her because she says she has an emotional connection to Phil. So I'm like, these friends didn't really help nothing. It just made things worse. We move on to the elimination dates, and we see that Katrina takes out who is Katrina's date? I'm sorry, guys, help me out on this here because my notes ran out.
Phil and Herbert. Is that Katarina? Phil and
I'm sorry, Katarina took out not Chris, Herbert, right? And Eris took out her date was Chris. And already Herbert is saying in his confessional, and as he's walking into the restaurant, he says, "Yeah, those ladies had the ladies lounge tonight. I don't know why she's calling me, but I'm beginning to wonder, are they getting ready to get rid of me?" So did they make the right choice in who they eliminated? That's the question that's on the table before we talk about next week's episode. We'll start with Kimberly. Did they make the right choice?
Yes, I believe wholeheartedly Herbert should have been gone a while back. He didn't really seem fully interested in the ladies. He wasn't really giving much energy. So I just don't believe his connection was here. So great choice.
Okay. All right. Good point. Okay. And who wants to jump in? You wanted to go ahead and jump in, Calvin?
Yes. Again, not the success to sound redundant. What is their perception of love? I mean, really, you're talking about loving somebody, but then you have to be committed to not just yourself, but committed to someone else. It seems like that's kind of a recurring theme, whether it be with Chris or Phil. You have to know who you are and what you expect, not just out of somebody else, and what you're willing to give up yourself,
That's so true.
What did you call it? I think you call it a production. Ron, you said production relationship where it's kind of orchestrated or choreographed for ratings, but maybe not. But it seemed like it's not enough love really being exhibited. It's liking of one another, but the love aspect is kind of deficient.
Oh wow, that's deep. Who wants to weigh in next about did they make the right? Did the ladies make the right choice?
I don't think so. I'm gonna say this. We skipped a little part here, and I think it was a very
I'm sorry.
It was a very interesting perception with Lee and Chris. Remember last week we were saying where's Lee and Chris? They look like on paper the best couple, aesthetic wise and stuff like that. And then we saw the friend already knowing Chris and saying, "Oh, you guys are perfect. You guys are the same people and stuff." So all the stuff that we kind of thought, I thought Chris on paper was Lee's best option. I didn't think it was Quentin from the beginning. And we hear the friend giving all these raving reviews, and that's my friend and things of that nature. But Lee's a very honest person, and she's a very self-aware person. And the first thing she said at the end is, "Chris is not assertive man for me." And you got to kind of dig in what that means, because I've been there. And what that means is, what a man like Chris, who's assertive in every single other aspect of his life, he's assertive at work. He's assertive with making friends and having people like him. He's assertive when it comes to I'm going to provide and protect and do it, all those things like that. It's very assertive, but he's not assertive with her. And this is on paper probably his most perfect match, even for what her friend is saying. He is looking at all these women as they're exactly the same. There's no difference between Lee, Jessica, or Aries. He is at 39. He's 40. He understands. He's starting to finally come into money. He said he was modeling earlier or stuff like that. Now the construction, he's the type of person. This happens all the time. Who's really get into their craft. They get into their 40s. The money's starting to roll in,
Mm-hmm.
and he's a perfectionist and everything else. And he's going to want a perfect woman, and a perfect woman does not exist.
Mm.
And reason why he looks at all these women as the same, and he's not assertive to any of them, saying, no, you're going to be my woman, this and that. It's because to him, they're not perfect. They're not what he's 100% looking for. To him, they're all the same. And he's like, okay, well, I'm Chris. I'm the man now. Money coming in. I'm getting in my 40s. These are my glory years for a man, and they are. And he's going to go out and he's going to look for perfection. And he's not going to find it. And it happens all the time. It happened with me. And I was in the same boat. And that's why he cannot see the difference between these three women who are totally different in every aspect in each way. He can't pinpoint them because to him, they're not his perfect. And I'm not going to be assertive to them. You know what I mean? I'll give them, say the right things, and I'll show up and I'll give them a little of this and give them a little of that, give them a little taste of Chris. But I can't be assertive to these women because I can only be assertive to who I think is perfection. Which ends up you not being assertive to anybody because you're not going to find that. It's a mental thing. And you and as guys, you put yourself through that by trying to be the conqueror, trying to chase success so much. It's habit forming, and it ends up sleeping into your love life too. It's problematic, and I've been through it. And you have to get down to reality and say, hey, I can't date the way I work. I gotta change this up. I can't be interested in the things. You know what I mean? You can't just go hard. When you get going hard, you got to take breaks now. You have to switch some things up, and I don't think he's there yet in the workforce to do so. But yeah, you're gonna have to say, hey, I got to take breaks. I can't just grind because it ends up affecting my daily life. And it does the same thing for women too. You got those women that grind all the time and stuff like that, and then they're looking for this perfect mate. And they're in their 40s now as women, and they're grinding. They want the perfect career, but they want the perfect man to go with it. And it is not no such thing as perfect. And they haven't adjusted that yet. And you're going to have to make those adjustments because it doesn't work that way.
Right.
And I think Chris hasn't done it yet. I think Lee was very smart to observe that and say, yo, he's not the assertive man I'm looking for. The man I'm looking for is going to look at me and go after me because he's going to look at me as the perfect woman for him and as the prize. Chris can't see that in any of these women. And I don't think he can see it in any woman, period, right now, or she was like Kim Kardashian. You know what I mean? Somebody on gets a super level where he's not going to get to. Right. And he's going to have to make the adjustments. He just hasn't done it yet. He's not at that stage yet.
That's interesting. I like that. I like what you're saying. I think that makes a lot of sense. JR, we're throwing over to you now.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting what you said, Ron, because that describes Jessica and Chris that's a similarity that they have. They both tend to be assertive in their careers, and that same level of assertiveness is, the problem in their relationship. We've spoken about Jessica being so assertive, having that strong personality, which is too much for Chris because he wants her to tone it down when they're interacting. And then on the flip side, he's assertive in business. He runs his own company too, but he is very soft-spoken, and that soft-spokenness is one of the concerns that a lot of the women have aired, because he doesn't come across, and some of the viewers as well, they've identified that he doesn't come across as very masculine in that term, right? So do I think it was the right choice for Herbert to go home? Absolutely not. I think that was a big mistake because you kept Morier, who you had a problem with the tarot cards.
Saw what I saw.
Right?
Thank you.
Yeah, listen, last week, the tarot cards was pretty much voodoo. It was pretty much, that's the devil. I don't want that around me. No, it's a no for me. I can't have that in my house. I can't have that in my space. That to me eliminates him from contention. And then, so he lost 2 connections there. He only had Sierra left. Herbert has actually had good connections with all of the ladies, and that was his downfall, right? Because he hadn't committed to chasing one, at least one. So, you know, having connections, yes, it's good for the show because that's what you're there to do. But ultimately, if you haven't narrowed down someone, you know, and see why, but he would get voted off. But he did actually have a connection with Janelle that I think he was very interested in pursuing until the timeline issue came up.
Yes, there you go.
And then I think so. You have Morier, who I think would have been a better candidate to go home. I also think Chris would have been a better candidate to go home.
Yeah, Chris, I think.
Yeah, but now you've gotten rid of Herbert. Janelle, I don't know what you were thinking, because now you're going to hone in on Quentin. And Quentin is also got other connections too. And Janelle, as much as the attraction may be for him, I think it would have suited her better going into the resort with Herbert there to take the time to get to solidify, if anything. But by eliminating him, oh no, that's going to bring out the worst in the ladies for sure, and with Janelle at the head of it, because I think she's quite I won't say possessive, but she is already sinking her claws into Quentin, and Quentin is very receptive. Let's get it twisted. He's nowhere near a victim in the situation. He's saying the right things for Janelle to want to get that impression and get that going as well. So, yeah, Chris and Morier would have been better connections. Even Phil, because he only has Aries as a connection, and he put his foot in it on their date on this time. Whereas I think Herbert, you know, he's got along with everybody. The ladies' man tag that he's been labeled. Yeah, I don't really get it. Yeah, exactly. I don't get player vibes from him. I don't think he's gonna deal with multiple women in a strong relationship sense. But like I said, he's basically getting to know all of them and not going after anybody other than Janelle, who he showed interest in previously.
No, you're very right on the fact that you talked about. Watch Kayla in that Quentin situation, because especially going into where they're going into the retreat, Calarina, and that Quentin situation, especially going into the getaway. People don't understand in our season, it was Jason and Kyra. Liz was not in the picture. Liz was wanted David for day one. It was Liz got put on her competitive spirit when they went away, because she said, okay, David is playing, I'm going after Jason. And that's all it took. And some full court press and moved Kyra right out the way. And you could see if Calarina said, because she's the only one that's really game enough. We saw her when they were going back and forth with the fight on the IG stuff. She ain't not afraid of Janelle. And she's the one that'll boss up with her. If she decides, hey, I want your man at this getaway thing, she's going to come with the full court press. And it might change some things up. And she, like I said, she's not afraid of Janelle to not do it. And now we've seen it done. Like I said, because that's what Liz did. She put on, and I told her to do it. I said, you put on your big girl pants and you go get your man there. That's what you want. And that's what she did.
No, you didn't tell her that. No, you
didn't. Yes, I did.
Let's get into it. Let's talk about, because we got some scenes coming up from next week, which look really spicy. We've got Quentin with his, being I think it's Quentin that's the Q, right? With his purple on represented, and it looks like he may have his swimming trunks on, but not much else, because I see all them muscles rippling through his body. Like, what's up with that, Ryan? What's going on with that? What do you think for next week?
Like I said, I think they're gonna throw it gets to the part of the show where they like the love triangle, right? So it's gonna be some love triangles they're throwing in. Right. And we already see some hostility from these girls earlier on IG and stuff like that. I think it strings from what's going to happen next. And and I think these very competitive women, very strong women, both of them not afraid of each other. Quentin looking like the prize or whatever he wants to look like. And
Looking
yeah.
delicious.
Yeah, and Katarina understands that she don't have a major other connection that she's super strong with. And I think she's gonna say Quinn's low hanging fruit. If I let me get around him and see if he's still following you around your ankle like that.
And could Jay, what's your thoughts on it? Because I can't say too much more. What's your thoughts on
so I like, from what I observed, it looks like Kat was having a moment with Quentin, trying to get to know him. He's barbecuing with no top, no shirt on. And when Janelle comes out and sees this, then she makes the comment, "Oh, where's the rest of your clothes?" Or, you know, "What, we coming out naked now?" Like, she made some comment like that, right?
Something like that. Yep.
Exactly. Then you see Katarina saying, "Man, why is it every time I try to get a moment with Quentin, Janelle's always there? I just can't get, I can't. This guy can't breathe. This guy is actually." But then Quentin's response, like when she said, "So what, you're taken now?" His response was, "Yeah, I kind of am." You know, like, so that to me signaled, like, even though they've gone into this retreat, he's already decided, Janelle's his connection. That's who he's going to work on. And he's going to completely reject any attempts to talk to him intimately other than that, because he probably knows how Janelle's going to react to that. And he doesn't want to lose that connection. Even if it isn't going to go too far, I think at this stage, he's like, you know what? I want to get to the yams and, you know.
You know, jam. Well, speaking of yams, look, speaking on yams, well, what do you think about, we see just a little snippet of a clip between Phil and Aries, and Phil is rubbing her feet, and, you know, she's lying on the bed, and he's rubbing her feet, and they're talking about, well, we wish the rest of these jokers weren't here. It would just be you and I.
Exactly. And you know what? And that's what I like about their connection, to be honest. I like the fact that this seems like a very romantic, probably the most romantic connection on the show so far, right? Phil and Aries seem to connect and embrace and enjoy each other's company. They enjoy speaking to each other on the phone. They have a few things in common, i.e. having children and all of that stuff. So, you know, this seems like the romance is there. Whether it's going to be like, you know, a solid connection going forward for, you know, marriage or anything like that, I think it's still way too early. But this is what I'm tuning in for every week. You know, this type of connection. Him rubbing her feet is a very romantic gesture. It's not.
Yes, it is.
You know, this guy, I don't get the impression he's trying to get to the yams. I think he really likes Aries a lot. And Aries, I think, likes him a lot too, which is why she isn't going for some of the things that, you know, her friend said, placing him below Chris in the decision of who was better. She's going to go with, well, I hope she goes with her instinct and says, you know what, this is a stand-up guy. There hasn't been any real major dramas at all attached to him on the show so far. He hasn't, he hasn't engaged with lots of the other women on the show to make them feel like they're more special or she's competing with any of them. So that makes her more relaxed about their connection as well. He seems very purposeful, you know, so there's many reasons why I like this connection, and them showing, you know, acting this way in this clip. Yeah, like, this is what I want to see, and hopefully it does build on as they get into the retreat.
Absolutely.
They are different though, so I just want to I just hope she's patient. If she can be patient, and they can really get to know each other. And
you talking about Aries, Ron? You talking about Aries?
Yeah. She's gonna have to be like I said. It's a different relationship for him. I think it's gonna be a different relationship for her. It's gonna boil down to, do y'all really, really want to be in a relationship? Because some of the stuff you're gonna have to fight for. And if that's true, and you really want to be in a relationship, and everybody's patient and understanding, yeah, it can easily work. I think.
Exactly.
I think. Yeah.
And she hasn't been in a rush. She hasn't tried to pressure him. She hasn't
Nope.
tried to rush him. She hasn't set any deadlines. So I think
Nope.
she's quite cool with taking her time and getting to know him as well, because she has 2 boys who, you know, she wants to vet the guy carefully and make sure she doesn't introduce someone that's probably not going to work out. So I think she's taking her time, and so is he as well. So in that sense, they're both similar, but yeah, they're going to have differences. And fortunately, those differences haven't caused them to cross paths in any way so far.
Yeah, I don't think they came out yet. When I see a couple that might have some differences, I always look for who's the fighter, and that's the part I don't see. I think if something happened where it was like a big differences, I think Phil would be nonchalantly like, "Oh well, you know," and I think she'll be the same one. I don't think there's anybody to say, "Yo, that's my baby. I don't care what we got, what gets popped off here. What do I got to do, or what we got to do, or what's going on like that?" It's always usually one fighter who cares a little more, who really wants a relationship, or really does that and is willing to fight. I don't see that fight in Phil yet, and we definitely don't. Aries ain't going for it. So
no, she like me. Aries, I see Aries, at least at this point. My observation is that Aries is like me in this, is that we either gonna work or we not gonna work. But what we're not gonna do is fight about it. Okay.
Yeah, I need a fighter. I need me a fighter. I need to see a fighter.
We grown people. That's what we are.
I need a fighter. I need to see somebody who's gonna fight, who's gonna say, "Hey," who's gonna show up at 2 o'clock in the morning with the boombox over his singing Common to get his woman back, or a girl who's gonna say, "Hey, no, we ain't breaking up. We working this out," because they got a lot of differences. I think that's gonna come up that somebody gonna have to fight for at one point.
So you mean it's turned to fighting for the relationship? I misunderstood you, Ron.
Yeah. I mean, fighting. Who's gonna fight for the relationship is what I'm saying. And I said you got a very nonchalant feel and a very I ain't going for it, Aries. Who's the fighter? when this is not a perfect, when I'm telling you, it's not a match made in heaven, because they're different people.
No. I know, never are matches, even the best.
So if I got 2 different people who are trying something out for the first time, it's working, it's going good. When it doesn't go good, which one of them 2 is going to be the fighter?
Oh, okay.
Because I don't see it in them.
For the relationship,
because I don't see it in. I don't see it in them yet.
Well, yeah, but the relationship is still developing. Go ahead, Calvin.
Who's vested in who?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it is, because you think about it. If you want a loving relationship, you have to be willing to see something in a person that sets them apart from the other person. And then they have to receive it, or the person that's going to receive it, and they got to reciprocate it. It's not like it's just a orchestrated relationship that we're just going to do this because if you love somebody, it's not just convenience. It's a commitment to that person, and you're willing to be vested in them and see how it's going to grow, because loving somebody requires that you see something that other people don't see and feel something other people don't feel.
I know that's right. Give that commitment. And guys, the last thing, I'm sorry, Kimberly, did you want to weigh in on the whole situation with what we're talking about with Aries and Phil, or any of that?
I think y'all covered it all. I just can't wait to see, what happens, because like you said, they are kind of claiming their person now. So I don't really see. Yeah, I don't see any strong connections still. So we'll see.
Well, we're gonna see what jump off at this house, because I believe some things are gonna jump off we weren't expecting. But last thing before we get on out of here, shimmy and shake on out of here. Last thing, Sierra with an S is talking about Marie, but Marie has also got another connection. And so Sierra, we see a brief little clip of Sierra talking to Marie and saying, "Look, like, are you riding with me, or are you riding with she? Because if you riding with she, then I'm gonna check on out of here." So anybody got any thoughts on what happens with that? How that turns out?
Yeah, so this is what I was saying earlier about Morier trying to do cleanup with Jessica and Sierra.
Yeah,
like, so Sierra was the go-to for when his connections with Jessica and Janelle broke down. So he's been kind of obviously focusing some attention on her, and bearing in mind she has no other connections. Now she's opening her eyes and seeing, okay, Morier's over here now. He's paying me attention, this, that, the other. And if he is now reverting back to Jessica or Janelle, then that's going to take away from the attention that he's been giving Sierra. And that's why I think she's stating, okay, well, if your attention isn't here, then I might as well just go home, because you got no one else to save you. There's no one, right? Who else is checking for Sierra like that? So
no one.
Yeah, I think so. That ultimatum also was a form of, that was a manipulation right there. Either you stick with me and see this out, or I'm gonna quit. And Morier, I think he's the type of person where he might feel a little guilt now, hearing how he's kind of led her on to think that there may be a connection. He's not really feeling it. So he may be a bit concerned that, okay, so, I might lose this connection that I solidly do have. I'm trying to get back in the good books of Jessica, but, Sierra's someone that, was the backup. And maybe it's not going to work. He probably likes Jessica more. But, like I said, Jessica's not going for any of the tarot card spirituality thing. So, and even the Pan-African thing as well. So he's got quite a lot going on there. So ultimately, yes, like Sierra, I think she was just like, you know what? Like, you're the only guy that's really showing attention. So if you're not feeling me no more, then I'm going home. I'm not going to sit through this.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting. Kimberly?
Right. I think Sierra should go home. I've been saying that for weeks. I don't even know how she's made it this long. Nobody liked her as number one.
She's funny and she's cute, and she has a $50,000 Birkin bag. What's not to like about Sierra with an S?
And who on this cast can buy that $50K Birkin bag? But I also was just thinking about Morier. He even said it, that Sierra wasn't his first choice. His first choice was Jessica. Remember in the men's lounge the week before?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he made it very clear that he was not interested in Sierra like that. And also Morier even mentioned that he wanted to be married in a year, but there's no big deal about that. And I find it funny because people were going crazy on Janelle about wanting to be engaged within a year. But Morier did say, a year, around the year mark, he would want to be married.
He did.
He did.
That. He did.
But you know what? Who believed him?
Right. I was going to that was you took the words out my mouth. Do we really believe men when they make crazy statements like Quentin saying he can't wait to walk down the aisle? Like, dude, like for real. Come on.
Who's
right?
As a question, who's committed to who?
That's the question. And looks like Ron fell off, and that's okay. We thank Ron for being here. But let's go around and start ladies first, and then we'll go back up to JR. We'll go across to Calvin, and then JR. Tell us what you got going on your channel. Miss Kimberly Reviews.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. Yep. You can find me here, YouTube at Kimberly Reviews, and also Kimberly Reviews _ on Instagram, Facebook, Kimberly Reviews. I go over the show Ready to Love. I'll do Married at First Sight when it comes back. And I also post my travels. I enjoy traveling all over the world. And I'm a big advocate for being debt free. So I do have a video there about debt freedom as well. So I look forward to seeing you on my channel.
All right, Calvin, come on now. Tell us about your channel.
I'm on Facebook on the Transformation Renewing of the Mind. I'm also on YouTube with the Transformation Process. I deal with, my focal point is on mental health, spiritual wellness, and your personal relationship with yourself and your greater self. And that you can change your condition by changing your mindset, because the most important thing that we have is our mind.
Amen. Amen. You got me on that.
Yeah.
All right. And last but certainly not least, JRX TV.
Oh yeah. Okay. So JRX TV, you can find me here on YouTube, where I discuss relationship TV shows, specifically Black relationship TV shows. Ready to Love is probably the most popular one for me to review. And that's why my title is Struggle to Love, because I think a lot of the contestants on the show actually struggle to find love. If you look at the percentage rate of success, you know, it's quite low. So there's a lot of struggle going on. But yeah, I review content that they, you know, they distribute on their own network. And on my Instagram, which is also JRX TV, you'll see health, fitness, and well-being, and often nutrition, giving you a holistic approach to lifestyle, and a few workout videos, either from classes I do or one-to-one sessions I do, which, you know, just to give you a little nudge in the way of keeping yourself healthy and fit and whole and feeling good and looking good at the same time.
Oh my goodness, I'm gonna be contacting you ASAP about that situation. Yes, yes.
Here when you're ready. I'm here when you're ready.
All right, all right. Remember you said that. I got it on tape now. If you need to hear it played back to you, JR. All right. Well, guys, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna shimmy and shake on out of here. We've been here for over 2 hours, and I have thoroughly enjoyed it. Didn't even know the time had passed to that point, but I have enjoyed you thoroughly. I look forward to seeing most of you back here. I know some people will be traveling to exotic locations that some of us can only dream about, but see you guys, all of you, and thank you guys. Absolutely, we got to give our shout out to moderators extraordinaire and members Ellen V and Monique King. We want to also thank that podcaster called Roro for Real. You got to shout out to her. And we want to thank all of you in the chat for chatting along with us, keeping us involved, giving us your thoughts and your feelings. Feel free to drop down in the comments section of the video if you're watching on the replay, and give us your thoughts. Did you agree? Did you disagree with us? We'd like to know. We'd like to hear from you guys. But we're getting ready to shimmy and shake on out of here, guys. So say bye now.
Take care.
Have a nice evening. Take care. See you next week.
See you guys next week, Sunday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And what time is that, JR, in the UK?
That's 11:30.
11:30
UK time, GMT, 11:30 p.m.
All right. All right. Bye now.
Bye.